Okay, we're live. Today I'll be showing you how to make a digital space in Enscape for Revit. And if you are watching this video, I assume you have already learned a bit what a digital space is and how it works. But if not, I'm just going to give a brief introduction to digital spaces, and then we're really just going to hop in on this video in Revit. So a digital space is a walkable rendering that is built for the web. And this is actually the demo that we'll be creating today together. You'll see this throughout the video or so. And so you can walk around your design. So how does this work? A digital space is comprised of 360-degree images and a 3D model. So when you're inside of a digital space, what you're actually viewing is a 360-degree image that, in this case, will be rendering from Enscape. And then in the background, you can see how a cursor, while we're looking at the 360 image, we're actually inside of a 3D model. And I can show a bit of that if I hop to the dollhouse mode here. You can see that we're actually inside of a 3D model that we can orbit around here. But again, the 360 image is just being projected onto that. So a digital space is made in these 4 steps. And the first step would be to set the views or your cameras in your 3D model. So in our case here, we're going to be inside of Revit, and we're going to place these views. The second step would be to render the 360 images from where your cameras were set up in step 1, and we'll be rendering with Enscape. And then the third step is to export your model, and that's just going to be file export as an FBX from Revit. And then the last step would be to upload to digitalspaces.io to share your experience. And I already kind of talked about this behind the scenes. You're viewing the 360 image at all times projected to the model. And when you upload your model, because your model might be gigabytes in size, might be a very big model, and so we actually, if we want this to be web-based and viewable on any device, your model most likely would crash any device, or it would take forever to load if it's gigabytes in size. And so when you upload your model, we actually do, on average, a 99% model reduction. At the end, your model will always be 100,000 triangles in between 2 and 5 megabytes. And so we do a large model reduction when you upload. And you'll see that process here near the end of the video when we get to the upload stage. So the last thing then I just want to note is I will be, right now throughout this video, I'm really going to be following what is in our documentation on the Help Center. And so if you ever in the future just get confused on something, want to know more, need some help, you can just go to help.digitalspaces.io, and that would bring you to our Help Center where you can explore our knowledge base, where we have all the information about creating a digital space and what all of our features really mean and how to use them. And then, of course, you'll be able to select on Revit as your application. And you can see here, Enscape for Revit. We have it broken down again into those 4 steps. And this will show you step by step how to do that. But you're here on this video, and so I'll be showing you in a video format. But again, just for your reference, this is always here. And lastly, on the Help Center, or really anytime you're ever on digital spaces, in the bottom right-hand corner is our chat button. And feel free to use this and chat us. And if you have any questions at any time, we are here to help you. And of course, you can email us at support@digitalspaces.io, and we can respond to you there as well. All right, so I think it's time now to jump in. And how this works, or how I'm kind of constructing this, is I already went ahead and screen recorded myself in real time creating a digital space from Enscape and Revit. And then I went and I sped up that video times 4. And now I'm going to be doing commentary on top of that, pausing it when needed to interject kind of what's going on or so. So I'm going to hop over to the video. And I'm really starting this video from as soon as I click on Revit. And so first thing we're going to do is open Revit. And of course I'm on a trial, okay. And the project I'm actually going to be opening is just the sample project that comes with Revit. It's called the Golden Nugget. So if you have this project as well, you can really feel free just to follow along. I'm not going to be doing anything special here. I'm not going to be adding anything either. I'm just opening up this demo project. I'm going to be exporting it to digital spaces, and of course render in Enscape. And I think I do have the European version of Revit because I needed the trial, and so I had to get the European version. Anyways, though, let's open this project up. Okay, great. And then the first thing I'm going to be doing is I just hopped to the 3D view here, because really this was the first time I ever opened this project. I had no idea what I was dealing with. And so I just wanted to check out the model. Like, what is this project? So it looks really good to me. So I just opened up Enscape. Let's just get started. And so I know that was very fast. Maybe I can back up a second here. But once the model really looks good to me, oh, it happened so fast again. One more time. We'll just see at the top, there's the cursor. I'm just going into the Enscape tab, and then I'm just starting Enscape. And so the first thing that we'll be doing is that step 1 to our process, which is to set up your cameras or your views. And how I like to do that is to just set it up to start the experience. I set up like the first location where I kind of want the experience to start, and then I just walk through it. And so here I'm just kind of going to the entry, or I believe is the entry to this project. What looks like the entry to me. And I kind of orbit my way over to there. And then in the top right of Enscape, I'm actually going to get out of fly mode and move to walk mode. And that way, in walk mode, I can get like a consistent camera height. And I'm just moving my location. Okay, so if this is the position then in walk mode where I'm not necessarily where I want the experience to start, because we can change that later on our web application, but this is just where I kind of want to start setting up my camera views. And so the first thing I'll do is in the top left on those binoculars, your view management tab, I'm going to open that up, and it looks like there's already views that came in with this demo, but at the bottom I'm just going to create a view. And then in here, in this demo, I actually do adjust the pitch to 0, and the yaw I keep the same. But I recorded this a few weeks ago before I'm doing this commentary, and we actually fixed some of the code. And so you actually do not need to adjust the pitch or the yaw at all. Before you did need to adjust the pitch, but it's okay if you do not adjust your pitch or yaw. And then you can see here where my cursor is on the star. I just like to star my views just so they're always like at the top of the list. You don't necessarily need to do that. And then you can also give it a name. I just use the default Enscape 3D View 1 name, but you can name it however you like. We often do recommend when you name your views to name them with the prefix DS underscore. But we typically recommend that for other applications, but for Enscape specifically, it really doesn't matter what you name anything. And so really we're just creating this view from this location. So I'll hit create, and then I'm just going to use my WASD on the keyboard, and I'm just moving to the next location. And so I'm just moving everywhere where I would like the user to move in the end digital space. And so the more scenes I set up here, the more nodes you'll have in your end experience. And so I'm just going to run through really this whole project, kind of place by place, set up the view, and that's it. Just walk around, create view. And then here, I think I realized that this floor is missing. That was kind of weird, this demo project. And so I go and fix that. And so excuse my poor Revit skills here. But I went and fixed that, and then I just kind of opened Revit back up, or Enscape back up again. And all of our views are saved. And so from here, I just go to the last view that I set up. Oh, what happened to it? Oh, there we are. And then make sure I'm in walk mode. And then I'm just going to continue walking around the scene, hitting create view, and setting them up one by one here. And I think this does take me a few minutes, so maybe I can skip forward here. I'm really doing the same thing, just creating views all around. Okay, I think this is coming to an end. Great. Okay, and so my views have all been set up around my entire scene, everywhere where I want to walk. And now I'm going to go into my view settings, which is in the top right corner. You'll see it highlighted in orange right now. And I'm just going to change under output my panorama resolution. I'm just going to put it on low for this instance, for this demo, but really can render here at whatever resolution you like. So I adjusted that. And then we're going to go into the batch renderer inside of Enscape. So open up the batch renderer, and then here you can just, oh, what do I, I realized, I'm sorry. I should save my scene. So, sorry. Right before I started rendering, I just went and I saved my scene. That's just wise. Always before you render. But what I will be doing here now is back in Enscape using the batch renderer. And I'm going to go to my views in here. So the views that you made, that you named, if you starred them, however, we're going to select them all. Awesome. And then at the render images at the bottom, we're going to actually hit the arrow, and then we're going to render mono panoramas. And now this is just going to start rendering. And I put my resolution to low, so this is very quick that these render out. And I believe then in the meantime, in a minute here, I'm going to actually pause the rendering, because I realized when I was doing this that I could be uploading my model while my images are rendering. And so I canceled that rendering, and I went, and so I guess here what I'm doing is we have the 4-step process. Let's go back to that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Set up your views, render your images, export your model. And so here I know I'm rendering the images, but I'm just going to jump to step 3, which is export your model. Then I'm also going to kind of move into step 4, which is upload to digital spaces. Because as my images are rendering, I can get started on my model and start creating the project on the application and start moving while my images are rendering in the background. So you should move in these steps in order, but you'll see here in this example, I'm still in order, but I'm doing some things at the same time. Okay, so going back, I just went, oh, that was super fast. So I went to File, Export, FBX, and then under your files of type, we can accept both of these. That's okay. I think we accept back until maybe like 2011 or 2013 FBXs, something like that. It will be in our documentation. And then, but on this case, I'm just going to do the bottom one, FBX files, which is the more modern one. I don't know why it doesn't default to that. So my files of type, I'm going to put it on FBX, and then name it whatever you want to name it. Save it wherever you want to save it. Okay, awesome. All right, so now I'm going to get back to the rendering. So my model's been exported. Now I can render again. And here what I'm doing is I'm trying to find out which ones I already rendered, because I just don't want to re-render them. And in Enscape, your outputted files, when you render these mono panoramas, are going to be located in your Documents folder, and then Enscape, and then Panoramas. And this is also in our documentation. I'll give you a better, you can find that to know the exact location. And it also will depend on your computer. If you installed Enscape, not into your documents, if you've selected that folder somewhere else, it might be different, but the default location is your Documents, Enscape, Panoramas. And here they're all come out as these XML image types, which we accept on digital spaces. And so I'm just looking here and I realize, because Enscape names these so funky, they just name them in a sequential order and they pop them out. And so I usually just look at the time I rendered them. And so I can see that the last 3 were all rendered at 3:05 p.m. So those were the last ones I rendered. And so it looks like I rendered the first 3. So when I go back to render and I go into the batch render, I'm going to select everything except for the first 3, because I already rendered those, and then same process. Then of course here I realized that Enscape is on top of everything on my computer. So I canceled the render again, moved the window around so I could still kind of have it in this video. Once again, select everything except for the first three, render mono panoramas. Awesome. Okay, so now on digitalspaces.io, when I'm logged in, I'm gonna, on the left-hand side, let me just go back one more second here. I'm gonna add a digital space on the left. And then we're prompted to give it a title. And I'm just gonna name this the Revit demo for now. Great. And so then when you first create a digital space, we bring you into our scenes page where now you can upload your model and your panos. And so in this case, we've already exported a model, so let's upload it. So I'm just gonna navigate to where I saved it and upload. And then the first thing we do when you upload your model is look for your cameras. But for Revit and Enscape, for this specific workflow, we're actually going to be reading your camera information from those XML images from Enscape. And so on this step, we'll see here, whenever you're using this workflow, Revit and Enscape, when you upload your model, you're going to see the screen saying no cameras found. And that is totally fine because Revit on that FBX is not exporting the cameras. We're getting that information from Enscape. And so in this case, we can just hit continue. No problem. And so the model is going to be processing now from however many polygons this exported to that 100,000 triangles. And that would just take a few minutes. And so now we're just kind of doing both. We're rendering, we have this thing, the model processing. And so now we're just going to really just wait on that a minute. So let's see, maybe I could skip forward in the video a little bit so we're not just staring at this. So yep, they're both running, still running. Okay, there it is. Looks like the model came out. Awesome. Oh, that keeps happening. I don't know, Enscape's doing this weird thing to me where it keeps throwing my windows in the back. So sorry if that's a little annoying in this video. But you can see here at the bottom left, the triangles. Oh man, this goes so fast. Those triangles were at 99,000. One more time. Okay, bottom left of the model here, 99,000. And so our optimizer targets 100,000 triangles, and we just go right underneath that. So this model looks amazing. We go in and we check it out. Looks clean to me. And then we can upload the images. And I think what I do here is I start uploading, because we've already rendered, I guess, 8 out of 17, but really we rendered 11 by now. And so why don't we start uploading those? And so the first thing that the images are going to do is upload, and then they start processing. And the processing of an image just takes a few seconds. It's very quick. So let's see here. What am I doing now? I actually just jumped straight to the View tab. So let's see here. Let's go back. Because the experience really is already created. The model's been processed, and we've brought in the images, and we have all the image location information coming from those XML file types from Enscape. And so we really are ready to go. The experience really is made. So I do then, I guess, jump into here, the View tab, to go check it out. And the experience right now is starting, just staring at a wall. We'll fix that in a minute. But we can see here that all those locations that we've already imported with the 360 panos, so those 11 that we already brought in, we can actually move around already. So here you can see how Digital Spaces is a no-code solution. We just build the experience for you on the back end. Well, very cool. Okay, so then back into the Edit tab at the top. I was just in the View tab. I'm going to move back to the Edit tab. And here, I'm going to start uploading the next images that were rendered. It looks like there's only 2 more left. And I start now adding locations. And what locations are predetermined panos that you can move to through our menu. So for instance, in this project, there's the entry, I think there's a front room, there's a back room, there's the balcony. And so actually, let me show you live. That might be easier here. Okay. So we can see in this project, we're inside the Golden Nugget, which you'll see in a minute. I'll change that name. But really what we're working on now are these locations. So right now I'm standing in the front room. And now if I move over here, I'm in the entry. And of course, this is the main entry. But I can also do like a hot jump. And I can come here and I could say, let's go to the balcony. And so now this automatically moves us out to this location, the balcony. And if I walk in here, you can see this one is the back room. So as a user moves through a digital space, we'll show what location they're in the bottom corner. And then also, using this menu in the bottom left, the user is able to jump directly to a location. And so now back to the video here. So you can tag the same location, like the entry, to multiple panos. And that's how then here I can be walking, and the next one is also the entry. This is also the entry as well. So it's the same location I'm tagging to multiple panos. And then what you want to be the start location is the star. And I'll be showing you that hopefully here just in another second as well. But you can see I can tag, entry, entry, entry. And then this one I call the front room. And now that location has been created. And so here I call this one the back room. And then what I'm doing there, when I just move this dot, so what happens is when you create a location, actually it would be a little easier to show on this entry one. Here we are. And so the first entry, that when we made the location, it was automatically starred with this dot. And the star that's the pano that you're actually going to move to when you use this menu. Like when I click on the balcony, that's the pano that I'm moving to. And then the dot here, that's the viewing direction. So if you remember when I first entered this experience, we were looking at the wall, and that's because that is dead center in this image. But now I'll be moving this over, so then the look direction actually starts in a different location. And then any location that is starred is the starting location when people click on it in the menu. So you can see here I entered the back room, it's starred, and then I moved that dot over. And then here I'm just using locations that we have already filled out and plugging those in. And then here you can see I restarted this one. So I put the location on this back room, but then I gave this one the star because I actually changed my mind. I was like, this one is where the back room should start. And then I moved that dot to the look direction I want. And then we made the hallway. And now I think the rest I can just move through. I don't need to make any new locations. And then the last step here at the top, this is your start location. We default you on that as well, but I did want to choose specifically the entry location to be the start of the entire experience, or really the entire scene. So now when I go back to the View tab, we can see that like at the bottom corner, we're in the front room. As I move, now we're in the back room. And then of course I realized the balcony hasn't uploaded yet because those were the last two panos. So let's go bring those in. And then I'll just tag those with the location balcony. Awesome, awesome. Great. So the experience starts looking straight now. The balcony's there. Awesome. And so, wow, I just moved so fast there. Holy moly. Let's do that again. I don't even know what I just did there. What the heck? All right. Oh, I just went back a page, of course. Okay. So we were just right now the entire time in the scene editor. You can see in the top left, I can go back to project. Let me see if I can catch myself. There we go. I clicked on back to project. And now this page is actually your main projects page. And this is where you can access your scene page, you can access the design, where you choose your plan, where you can see your analytics, where you publish the project. All of that happens at this main project page. And I think we're just ready to publish, though, for this project, because everything was looking good to me so far. So I'm just going to go to the top right-hand corner, and I'm going to hit the publish button. And that will just take a second. And then in the top right, I'm going to open it up in a new tab, because everything that's being created here in the editor is only in the editor, and it can only be shared with guests or members that you share to your organization. You cannot just share this page directly with your client, say. You would have to publish the experience. And then you can open a new tab. Here you can copy the link. You can copy the embed link as well if you want to bring it onto your own site, or then you can share it with others. But here I just open this in a new tab. And then I did realize that I still have untitled scene at the bottom corner. And I don't want untitled scene. Untitled scene is just what we default you as when you create a digital space, but we can change that. And so we are going to go back to the scenes page. And then you'll see on the left under scenes, we're actually in untitled scene. And I'm just going to change that name to, I think this is the Golden Nugget project from Revit. So I changed that to the Golden Nugget. But scenes, if you might be wondering, what the heck is a scene? Why are we naming this thing? And let me just show you actually how a scene works on a larger project. So I'm going to go back to our website. I'm just going to go to the gallery page. And then this Main Street project is a great example. So in the bottom left-hand corner, on this project, I can move to the scene locations. So these locations I was just showing you, we just set those up. But then here it says more scenes. And so in this particular project, we're in the lobby. But we also made for this project a couple unit rooms. And so say I want to explore those as well. I can just come in here and say, let's go to the model room. And so this is now a new scene called the model room, which has its own panos and it has its own model. And this could be its entirely own Revit file. This could just be a completely different model, completely different panos. And you can attach those together in the scenes. You would just add a new scene. You would call this one lobby, unit room, whatever. Upload this model, upload the panos. And then on the main project page, when we go back to here, you'll see everything connected. And so I just changed that name now to Golden Nugget. I'll just have to republish, because it's only active right now in the editor. The live experience hasn't seen that change yet unless I hit the publish button. So I'm going to hit the publish button. It takes a second because we made a quick change. Now when I refresh this page, you'll see that the Golden Nugget is now the scene that we're entering on here. So that has a nice name. So awesome. And let's see, is this close to done? Okay, we have about a minute left of this video. I actually don't know what I do at the end here. So I'm showing here to just copy the URL, hitting this little link chain button. Oh, actually the last thing I'm going to do is capture a cover image. And so I opened up the camera tool. Let's just go back real quick. Okay, copy the link, great. And when am I going to open the camera tool? Right here. Okay, so in the bottom right, you'll see the camera. So I'm going to open that up. And then I just kind of like rearranged my window to get just a nice shot here. And then I'm just going to click on this button to capture an image when I'm ready. And then I hit the save button. If you saw that right there, hit the save button and then just save it wherever on your computer. Oh, maybe I took a couple. I'm just kind of playing around here, trying to find the best one. And then back on the dashboard, and so I actually just left the project. Let me do that one more time again. So in the top left-hand corner, I'm going to hit on the Digital Spaces logo inside this project. That will bring me back to the dashboard. And then in here, I'm just going to hit the three dots and then hit cover image. And we can browse for that file. And there we have it. We've got a nice cover on here. So the cover image is great for your dashboard, so you can just easily see the project, but it's also really great, what I'm going to show here is when you copy your link and then you share it, and here I'm just going to share it with myself on Slack, well, you'll see what pops up is that cover image, and then you'll get the project name in here and all as well. And so when you send this in like a text message or an email, or you share it on social media, or you share it here in Slack, you have a nice cover image. And then when users click on it, they can go right to your project. And there you have it. That's really it. So I hope this video was informative to you, and I hope this helps you create your digital space in with Revit, or I'm sorry, with Enscape for Revit. And once again, you can repeat this on our documentation on help.digitalspaces.io under Revit. You can see all 4 steps here, and feel free to chat or reach out at any time if you have any additional questions. Thank you. I'll see you in the next one.